So one of the often overlooked parts, things about strength training for runners is the amount of training and strengthening that you need to do for your upper body. Okay, it's not easy. It's not something you might think. It's not obvious, but you think about it. You're getting a lot of work with your legs. Like we talked about how you were dying the first run, then your legs got stronger as your endurance got better, and your legs are getting a lot of work every week. But the thing about the upper body is, if you're doing, how long is the race you're doing? What do you guys do?
21. So it's a half.
A half marathon. That's a long. So how long will you be running?
2 hours? I'm aiming to
2.5.
complete for 2.5.
Okay. 2.5 hours is a long time.
No
And
kidding,
it's a
not
long time.
there yet.
Exactly. So the thing is, if you are, the thing that will most often go first on a runner will be who's conditioned and trained for the race is the muscles in the upper body which are supporting your head, your neck, your shoulders. You start to lose your posture. Okay, so as that goes, that's all related to strength and endurance. As that goes, you have 3 curves in your spine. Okay, the neck, so the cervical, the thoracic, which is the upper back, and then the lumbar. You can't change the curve in one of those areas without changing the others. So if your shoulders start to slump, as soon as, stand up for a second. So you're standing upright, you've got a nice posture, and then slouch your shoulders like you're tired and you're dying out here. What happens to your lower back?
My
It flattens out, right? So you've got a nice, the lumbar curve, and if you round your shoulders, it flattens out. So when that happens, try and lift up your knees when your back is flat. Okay, so it changes your stride. Your stride length becomes really short. So when you need the most effective running, when you're tired and you're trying to get the end, you're going to have, biomechanically, it's going to be the worst because you've got this posture like this. I mean, just try and imagine starting a run like this. I'm saying let's run like this. It puts a lot of strain on your lower back, but also the thing just from again, back to performance, is that your stride is going to be different because you can't bring your knees up. So your stride gets very short. It changes which muscles are working, changes the way that the pounding on the tendons. It's just not a very effective, efficient way to do it. So in a strength training program, I've outlined four things that are significant for runners, okay? Number 1, you should be doing single leg activities. So if you think about it, in running, you never have both feet on the ground at the same time. It's always one foot to the other foot to the other foot. So because of that, you should be training in that way as well. There's a lot of carryover to doing single leg activities, so balance exercises, single leg squats. I'm going to show you something after called an anterior reach, which is maybe our favorite exercise. Doing the single leg also, it helps to balance out any weaknesses or tight muscle groups in the hips and the knees. It's great for building up lower leg stability, which is also a factor that can limit people on how effective and how long they can run. We talked about the feet before. You'd be amazed when you're actually doing something on a single leg how much your foot is shaking, and if you get to the point where you can do it without a shoe on, it's like you're gripping for dear life almost with your toes, and it becomes a really effective way to do it. So number 1, when you're doing your strength training for your legs, if you're doing yoga, you may be doing some kind of stuff like this. The stand on one leg, I think it's called.
Right. Well, yoga
Tree
is
pose.
actually a 4-week cycle, yeah. So you do standing poses.
Okay, so you may be doing some of that kind of stuff anyway. Okay, so single leg activities, great, really important. People don't often think about this, but running is actually a rotational activity. Okay, so if any time you're taking a stride, if it's walking or running or sprinting or jogging, one shoulder is coming closer to the other leg. So you're actually moving in rotation. So if you're doing all of your exercises on machines in a gym, for instance, the machines are really good for isolating specific muscle groups. But what they're lacking is that there's no stabilizing that has to occur. If you're doing a bench press, you sit down, your back flattens out, your hips relax, everything relaxes, and all you do is you push a bar, which focuses on a muscle group. But everything you're doing in sports and in running is integrating the whole body together. So it's important to move in rotation. So we use resistance tubing a lot, which is great because it's portable, it's adaptable for different levels, but also because it forces you to stabilize with your core as you move in rotation. Okay, so single leg activities, rotational movements. You should be doing some postural strengthening exercises. And that means strengthening the core. Everybody's heard of the core, it's the buzzword, you know. But it's important to work the front and the back, the upper and the lower. So just for the reason where I showed you, if your shoulders are slouching, that's part of your posture, just like the lower back is part of it. So you should be working the top and bottom, the front and back. Lots of people do, you know, tons of crunches. You were talking about guys at the gym, and since there are no guys here, we can pick on them a bit. But guys tend to exercise the muscles you can see in the mirror. The chest, the pecs, you know, the shoulders, the biceps, and the abs.
The vein ones.
And you end up with this hunched over.
And tiny legs.
Yeah, chicken legs.
So it's really important to work both groups, or else, just like we're saying, for fatigue, you end up rounding. If you're only doing the front, then you end up rounding too. And if your job, if your work involves sitting at a computer, at a desk, driving, everything we do in our daily life, think about it. You know, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat your breakfast, you sit at the desk, you sit at your car, you sit at your computer. Everything we do.
You forgot coffee.
Coffee.
Nothing happens
You sit your
before
coffee.
Wake up, coffee.
You're still in flexion drinking your coffee. So everything we do is hunched forward. So if you end up, you know, if you spend your whole day in this position, then you go to the gym and you get on a bike, you're hunched over again, and then you do crunches, you're still in that position, you do bench press, everything is that way. So a big part of helping with posture and retraining your posture and strengthening is to move opposite of what your daily stresses are. And it's really hard to think of I can't think of anything that moves you into extension.
Do lots of
Flexion is this
butterfly
way.
stroke.
What's that?
Lots of butterfly stroke.
Yeah, or backstroke, yeah, that kind of thing.
I think you come to a back bend class.
There you go. So postural strengthening exercises, front and back, top and bottom, really important. And you should